Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we're going to continue to explore our unit essential question, which is how can we use environmental and genetic factors to explain changes in organisms? We will be focusing more on the environmental factors today, and we're going to be reviewing an experiment to see how changing some environmental conditions affect the growth of plants. So in our journey, we're going to be making two stops. The first stop is formulating a hypothesis and reviewing our procedure for our experiment. And in our second stop, we're going to review the data that we collected and we're going to organize the data in a data table. So the first variable we're going to be exploring is sunlight or light energy. And we want to investigate how light energy affects plants. So we're going to start with our hypothesis, and I wanted to frame it in the light of cause and effect. So for our first experiment, the cause would be if I increase the amount of sunlight, then, and I will allow you to take some time to fill in the effect portion, which is you describing what you believe will happen to the height of the plant. So feel free to pause the video, jot down your effect, and then play it so we can continue with our experimental design. All right, guys, welcome back. At this point, you should have your cause and you should also have your effect. And now we're going to bring them together in our formal hypothesis sentence. So I included a sentence starter or a prompt that reads as follows. If I increase the amount of sunlight, then, and you would just complete the sentence with the effect. So now we have a clear hypothesis. And the second part of this is exploring our visual procedure. And as I've told you before, I'm a very visual person and a lot of my students are. So I really appreciate visual procedures because they help me figure out what's going on and how to set things up. So some of you might have all the materials at home, or you might be able to get these materials and access them, which is great. But if you don't have the materials at home and you aren't able to get these, that's totally fine because I have provided some data, virtual data that you can use to set up your data table. I want to make sure that you guys are all able to immerse yourself in this experiment, whether you have materials or not. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and go over the procedure. So step one is to label your baggies with the following labels. So you're going to have two bags, two Ziploc bags, and your first bag is going to be labeled water plus sunlight. Your second bag is going to be labeled water plus no sunlight. So once you have that setup ready, then for step two, you're going to poke a few small holes near the top of each baggie with your pencil or your pen, okay? Now, once that's done, once you have your bags and you've punched your holes, step three requires you to dip two cotton balls in water and place them in the bottom of your baggie. All right, so they'll look like the bag on the right, but labeled, right? We're gonna have a bag, we're gonna have some holes on the top, and we're gonna have two soaked cotton balls. Step four, you're gonna add a lima bean to each baggie, okay? And you're gonna seal the baggie. Step five, you're gonna tape bag one to the window or place it under a sun lamp. So the key point here, or the key idea here for number five, is that you want to make sure that the lima bean in bag one is getting access to light energy. For step 6, you're going to place bag 2 in a dark place, like a cabinet, closed box, or even a paper bag. And there's other dark environments that you can use as well, so don't feel like you are limited to just these 3. The idea here for number 6 is that you want to have that second baggie in a dark location that's not getting sunlight. So now we're at the point where we're collecting data. And so we can go 2 routes here. If you have all the materials at home and you have set your lab up at home, that is amazing. Kudos to you. You can go ahead and you can gather the data on your own. So we will be measuring the height of the plant or the lima bean as it grows at different points. And you can go ahead and you can measure the plant on your own and gather the data to report or record on the data table. However, for those of you who don't have these materials at home, you're more than welcome to use the data that I've created or provided for you in these slides. And they're very simplified, just a disclaimer, but it's for you to get the idea of how sunlight affects the growth of our lima bean. So each page is divided in half, and it basically is sharing observations that were made at different points of the experiment. So the first half, or the half on my left, has the lima bean, which is exposed to sunlight. And so that's why you'll see a window next to it. And then the one on my right is actually in a bag, and it's the lima bean that is not exposed to sunlight, is actually in a dark environment. So once you have gathered all your data, you're going to organize it in a data table. So our data table has 3 columns. The first one is asking you to note the day. The second column is asking you to record or write down the height of your lima bean during those days with baggie number 1, which means the bag that was exposed to sunlight. And then for our third column, you're going to do the same thing, but this time you're going to record the height of your lima bean in bag 2, which was not exposed to sunlight. All right, guys, I have been your guide on the side. Now I'm going to let you go ahead and organize your data tables so that we can start analyzing what's going on and how sunlight is affecting the growth of our lima bean. Take care.